Well, sorry about that. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're finished with the lightning talks, and we're going to go with an unpanel. And we're going to make it a very fast unpanel. And the whole point of an unpanel is to identify what the questions are that you have as a group, and then see if we can find somebody else in the group to answer them. So, and we want to try to do this pretty quickly. Now, any question is fine. So, does anybody here have a question about anything related to NoSQL at all? Any questions?
TCO.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we can at least take 4 or 5 questions. Okay, we'll take those 5. What was the first one?
TCO.
Put that in the form of a question, please.
Okay, so what's the TCO of NoSQL database? It's impossible to find anything. So I know what's the cost of an SQL database, even if it's big. I don't know what's the cost of TCO. That increases my risk and uncertainty for a business project.
Okay, we'll take that one. There was a question over here, wasn't there? Yeah?
Yeah, I was wondering, if you're using MySQL and Memcached, how do you move into something faster?
How faster than MySQL and Memcached?
How to move into it, you say.
How to move into
Migration.
How to move
Migrate
into
to something faster.
Yeah, what would be the migration into a NoSQL solution?
Migration.
Yeah, let me just make sure I understand that. You're already using Memcached, or you want to move from MySQL to something like Memcached?
No, I'm already using MySQL with Memcached.
Okay.
You want to migrate to NoSQL.
Right. Well, Memcached, you could argue is
No.
well, okay.
The bridge is a bunch of SQLs.
All right.
And maybe there's a persistent
Okay. To NoSQL. Yeah, we'll let the capture these guys answer that one. Okay. Next question. Yes.
How common is ACID compliance?
Okay.
Where?
All right. Hey, we're not judgmental here.
Are we talking about how common it is across the board or just with NoSQL?
With NoSQL, how common is it for NoSQL
Okay.
Right.
databases to
For
support
NoSQL.
ACID?
That's what I figured. Okay. Good question. All right. There was another one over here.
I had one, but I was number 5.
Well, just go, please. Come on.
Okay,
Killing me here.
I'm Citibank, and I have database consistency around the world to a certain pretty high level because we're dealing with trillions of dollars.
Uh-huh.
How do I make my data that's consistent out there consistent with a NoSQL database?
All right. I thought you were going to say, how do I take the rounding errors and put them in my...
No.
No? Okay.
That's why they have consistency, is to avoid that.
So how to take global...
Consistent data
Consistent.
and put it into an NoSQL and still have it be consistent with all of that, with everything else. If we're not, maybe transactions or whatever you got, give it to me.
Okay. Product guys out there, I'm hearing opportunity, just as an FYI. Okay, who's number 4
I'm not really
here?
Citibank.
Yeah, who was number 4?
Just asking that.
Okay, I don't know. Who else had one more question? We can take one more. Yeah.
Right. What's going to be the best option for storing massive quantities of very small heterogeneous data and reporting on it in real time?
So what is the best option for large
quantities of very small heterogeneous data points. And reporting. Let's say smaller than tweets.
Okay. All right, so let's go with this. We've got 5 questions here. What is the total cost of ownership for NoSQL? How much? Let's see. I'm not quite sure I wrote this right, but I think the idea was, how do I go from MySQL and Memcached to a NoSQL scenario? How common is ACID compliance in a NoSQL database? And how do I take a globally consistent data, and be consistent within a NoSQL, like integrate it or save it or whatever, integrate it with a NoSQL database. And then finally, what is the best option for large amounts of heterogeneous data that is small pieces, I guess is the way to put it. All right, so who feels like they have an answer to one of these questions? Anybody? Okay, we got 1 there, 2 there, 3 there, 4 there, 5 there. Okay, you guys come on up. You guys are on the Unpanel. If you haven't seen this before, come on up. All right. We'll put the chairs over here so we don't blind you. Sorry, folks, we're going to just steal some chairs from you. Here you go. And you guys are going to be able to take one question each. You're going to try to answer it in under a minute. And just steal some more chairs here. Can I take this one here? Which question? I think we're good.
I can remember. I'm Citibank.
All right.
That's it.
You want to try to answer one?
No,
This is the Unpanel, yeah. Did you want to jump on the Unpanel?
that's fine.
Well, we'll see if they answer your question. Okay, so the rules of the Unpanel are very simple. We try to answer the question in a minute or less. If the question generates lots of other questions, that's a good idea for a potential breakout session during the unconference. And if they go over a minute, it's okay, but we try to keep it short. Okay? All right, who wants to go first? All right. Which question do you want to answer?
I'll take number 2.
Number 2, what's your name?
My name is Robert Hodges.
Okay, and go for it.
Ooh, that's
Okay,
good.
so this is how to migrate from MySQL Memcached to a NoSQL database. And I'm going to constrain the problem. Is that?
That's fine.
Yeah. I'm going to constrain the problem to just moving the data. So it just happens that I actually write something called Tungsten Replicator, which does this. So, and in fact, I was going to propose it as a talk later today. But if you're in MySQL, we have a replicator which can move data in real time from MySQL to MongoDB. It's GPL v2. So just as a process, since you're probably really interested in getting there, one of the things you could do is if you have a relatively, perhaps you have a small data set, you'd like to test this out, you could set up replication between MySQL and Mongo, and then what you can do is dump your data using a logical dump, like MySQL dump. Load it back in with row replication enabled. It then replicates over as a bunch of tuples, and it's going to show up in MongoDB. Now, you may want to then massage it there, so maybe you build some process to morph it into documents, and then you have your documents, your applications sitting on top of it. What I would sort of do is try and run the systems side by side for a while, where you've got data flowing in your production systems, and you're actually bringing the data over to Mongo and then trying out various queries and running applications against it. So that's one possible approach. That's how a lot of people do database migration.
Okay, now I thank you very much. And you said you also wanted to attack that one?
No,
No?
I want to talk about Citibank.
Oh, right, okay. All right, who wants to go next? Okay. Srini, you had your hand up.
I want to go 1, the TCO.
Okay, Srini, go for it.
Okay, so stand up. So the TCO question is a very good one actually. I mean, one of the things, at least I've learned from my experience in the last couple of years sizing NoSQL systems, is that you want to do all the standard things, right? I mean, if you want to do, for example, if you want to take a system which needs an extra feature, it's open source, and some of the large companies actually do take TCO, also the development cost. But also, let's just take the deployment cost first, right? I mean, if you want to, what you want to do is you want to size up the number of machines that you need, for example, to run a certain workload, and then you want to have 2 copies. But more importantly, performance actually matters. And that's something which is interesting. That some of these systems, do vary widely in performance towards reads and writes. So you want to go and pick the right system, for the kinds of work that you want to do. And when you do that, essentially you could have performance there TCOs of almost like 2x, 3x off in terms of just hardware costs. And that's one of the things which we personally, we found it to be something which we have exploited in Citrus Leaf actually in our process. But also, you should look at all the systems carefully from that point of view. It's not going to be the same number of machines for every system. Then the operational cost. Some of these systems come well supported, and there are companies around open source which actually support it. So you want to go find out what kind of support you need. And if you're running a mission critical application, you want 24/7, you want to make sure that the system keeps running, you want to sleep at night. Those are the kinds of costs you have to actually factor in. And when you put all of that in, and I mean, it's fairly straightforward at this point, but the main thing is it's hard to figure out for each system what exactly the costs are. I think that is, something you want to keep in mind.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, who wants to go next? All right, now, were there two of you who wanted to do Citibank, or was I misunderstanding that? All right, go for it.
So first thing to know is that real banks don't do hard transactions in the sense that a real transaction is stop the world behavior, and when your bank is worldwide, you can't stop the world for every single thing that flows through the bank. But you do want ACID. You want to know whether or not what you wrote is going to be durable. So with Couch, what you can do is package each transaction, you've got an amount, a from account, and a to account. That's your transaction. That's a document. You save that. It's either saved or it's not. Now that's available in a consistent snapshot using a reduced rollup, which is incrementally generated, so you've always got the right answer. What is the account balance of any given person's account? That may be too fast. I don't know if I can do it all in 1 minute to squeeze in exactly how you do that, but take my word for it. You can say, this guy has $1,000 now, and it'll be right as of what's in the database. Now when you have a multi-master topology, again, we can't stop the world, so what we have to do is measure the delay. How eventual is my eventual consistency? Some folks say they have eventual consistency, but really they just have eventual something. Couch has eventual consistency. After it's replicated, all the nodes are the same. So you can measure, what is my window? Is it 1 second? Is it 5 milliseconds? What's my window to eventual consistency on a worldwide basis? And most banks are happy if that's like less than 24 hours. So I really don't see there being a SQL, NoSQL problem when it comes to banking.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. All right, next. Matt.
Which one are you going to do, man?
Well, see, I was going to do number 2, but then somebody jumped in and did it, so now I kept having to stick my hand there. I was going to take number 4.
Oh, okay.
Which one did you want?
I'm going to do number 3.
Perfect.
I'll fight you for number 4.
Wait, you want to do number 4? Number 4 or number 5?
4.
The one that's already been answered?
No, it hasn't been answered. You, I think, brought up.
Number 5?
Didn't you write up the wrong answer?
No, there's a third one without a number.
The third isn't now.
Yeah.
The third is how common is ACID compliance, and then the fifth was what is the best option for large heterogeneous data systems.
Okay, well, I haven't thought about either of those. So you,
Just go ahead and answer whatever one you want to answer. It's fine.
Do number 2 again. I want to hear another.
do number 2 again?
The other guy go first.
Okay, let's do that.
All right,
Okay.
let's do that. So I'm going to take the asset one, which, okay. So just like in relation systems, you have asset, right? You have been reading it from high school, like that's what asset is, very, very common. But when you have systems where they are distributed, there are multiple nodes, so your database is not running on a single node. So what comes into play is how tolerant is your system when your network fails. So for that, there is a theorem called CAP. So I'm sure most of the presenters and a lot of audience have heard of it at least. CAP means any distributed system or is distributed data store can support consistency, availability, partition, only 2 of these. So some systems are strong, and of course, since they are distributed systems, they have to support partition tolerance. So now the choice is between consistency and availability. So some databases, like the NoSQL, when I say NoSQL, I mean databases which can run across multiple nodes. So it's the battle between availability and consistency. So for example, MongoDB is a CP system. So what it means is that it's consistent, but as far as the availability goes, again, I can go very deep because availability, again, available to read or available to write. So the write availability is where the problem is. Now CouchDB, for example, is eventually consistent. So what it means is that it is AP, which is available and it's partition tolerant. So whenever you are looking at multi-node databases, you should think about CAP and not ACID. And all of the database compensate for their weakest link some way or the other. For example, eventually consistent is how CouchDB or Amazon Dynamo takes care of consistency. It's not that they are not consistent, they are eventually consistent. Similarly, it's not that they are not available, maybe they are available only for reads and not for writes. And for writes, they have a queue which they can flush out later. So that would be my answer to your question. And we can definitely, like I said, this topic is pretty much like a kind of can of worms because it's kind of philosophical and theoretical and all that. So we can have a breakout session for this too.
Okay.
Cool.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
All right. So at this point, Matt has a choice. You can come up with a better answer to number 2, or you can go with number 5, which has not been answered yet.
So I'm going to go with number 5. And it's not that I don't think I can't come up with a better answer. But,
Are you just trying to be polite, not show them up?
no, I want to work with my fellow panelists here. So, and that's in part because the answer I give to number 5 may not be very good, and I might need your help.
Okay, that's fair. All right.
So I'm going to talk through this quickly. Obviously,
restate the question.
So to restate the question is, what is the best option for a large heterogeneous large quantities of heterogeneous data, thinking specifically of very small data items. Let me give a little bit of background, I guess, for those of you, I'm sure most of you have messed with some NoSQL systems, but usually you end up with a few different categories that are sort of a taxonomy: column stores, key value stores, document stores, etc. I would argue that in the case of small data, you said smaller than a tweet, you're going to be hard pressed to do that with a document store, partially just because it's going to blow it up. I would also argue that chances are there's not enough information in there for it to be column store oriented. So we're rapidly sort of failing back to key value. I'd also say that actually ends up being one of the cases where one of the solutions was mentioned earlier, be it Memcached or Membase or even this thing Couchbase that we've been working on. We do a lot of that with very small items, like 20 byte type items. So I think for the most part, you're coming down on key value. The tough part is going to be, what do you want to do with that data? So are you looking to build potentially a secondary index or something like that? If you are looking to do those kinds of things, there are some upcoming solutions for that, I guess. So there are some that you could do right now that are likely to blow them up potentially larger, and then there are some that probably meet your needs. Fellow panelists, did I miss anything there? Do you disagree?
You like your answer?
I did
Very
it.
good. All right, Matt. Way to go. All right. Thank you very much, guys. Okay, and let's give a round of applause to our panelists. And you guys can go now. All right.
You don't get to read.
So yeah, thank you very much. It's not easy to get up there and just answer questions like that. Now, so we've done the lightning talks. We've done the Unpanel. The last part of our NoSQLCamp is we are going to now have breakout sessions. Now, the way this works is I have noticed a trend over the unconferences that we've been doing. When we do them in the evening, people like to do short sessions. And I think that's because they want to get a lot of information in a short period of time because they don't want to, they want to go out drinking. I don't know why, but it turns out that way. Whereas if you do it like on a Saturday and you got the whole day, people are like kind of like, well, I'll get my coffee, I'll go hang out in this session, and they're kind of, let's just take it easy. And they'll just kind of take the whole day, and if a session's an hour and it kind of meanders, no problem. But an evening when we only got 3 hours, people just seem to want to be like, okay, let's go. So what that means is we're going to do a quick vote. We're going to ask you how long you want the sessions to be. And the choices are an hour, 45 minutes, 30 minutes, or 15 minutes. We're going to do this really quick. How many of you want the sessions to be an hour? Raise your hand. Okay, I kind of gave that one away, didn't I? All right. How many of you want it to be 15 minutes? Raise your hand. Oh, I kind of gave you, all right, I encouraged you, I think. All right, very good. So that was about 10 of you. How many of you want it to be 45 minutes? Okay, a few of you. All right, that's cool. How many of you want it to be 30 minutes? All right, that's what I thought. All right, very good. So we're going to do these in 30 minutes. So what I want you to do is I want you guys to propose a topic. Don't worry about the time, but just propose a topic. The topic can be, hey, I've got a product and I'm going to answer questions. That's perfectly fine. Or it can be, you know what, I have no product. I just have a topic that I need answers to. and I was hoping other people might want to discuss that topic. That's perfectly fine. Or it could be something like, hey, you know what? I see a couple of my peers here, and we've been meaning to get together and talk about something. Maybe it could be, I've been following the UnQL, the Uncle discussions. That could be an excellent topic. So with that in mind, how many of you have a question or a topic or something that you'd like to continue discussing? Raise your hand. Okay. I see 1, I see 2, I see 3, I see 4. I see anybody else?
I like your uncle idea.
5. What's that? Okay. I like the uncle idea. Okay. So
Wasn't
6.
there a list already for some of these topics, or was that just wide open? I thought.
Well, it's always wide open. If there are some topics that were listed, and I'll tell you what they are, but that doesn't matter because they have to be re-proposed. Okay. So let's just do that. I think the topics. One of them was the NQL uncle question or topic, and one of them was.
So I have this thing called tungsten replicator, and if I can get a slide projector, I'll show you how it works and how it demonstrates replicating in real time for MySQL.
That's fine. Okay. And then I think there's some folks from yes.
Yeah, I'm doing some stuff with JSONic. I'm the lead editor for Xquery, the XML query language. We're doing something where we basically take Xquery, throw away the XML, add in objects and arrays, and I'm trying to figure out how that ties in with Uncle. I don't know if it would be better if we did something together where we discuss both things, maybe if somebody knows something about Jackal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. And then.
Yeah, we are using Cassandra, but I think it's specific to other NoSQL deployment. The main problem we have is that we lose stuff basically in the database because we are using UUID and because there are so many data. And compared to a SQL, we couldn't find a way to really, let's say, understand what's in the database sometimes. So we tend to have stale stuff, we tend to, let's say, to not understand how many thousands of stuff we have put in, and that's it. I'm looking for a solution on
that. Could be an interesting session. How do I find my data once I put it in NoSQL? Yes, what was yours?
So, just to help them out, we've got a lot of guys here from DataStax, we're the commercial company behind Apache Cassandra. We brought our great customer, Cloud Talk, here to talk about their use case and how they're using it. So we may be able to put people together. And
so this might go to helping you. We built a general purpose web app on top of Cassandra, and we had to solve a lot of technical problems. Some of it is like, how do you find stuff, right? And we have like 3 or 4 points we'd like to touch on.
Yeah.
That just everybody needs to do in a general purpose scalable web app. And
so
we'd like to hear what other people have used.
I would combine those, and I have a feeling you're going to get your answer from one of these folks, or at least a pretty good start towards it. So, okay, anybody else have a session that they want to propose? All right. Now remember, we're going to do this fast. Raise your hand again if you had a session or that you wanted to propose. Raise your hand. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At least 6. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to recommend that we do these in 2 sessions. We do like 3 sessions and then 3 sessions. And we do them half hour. That means we're done in an hour. Okay, bada boom, bada bang. Does that sound reasonable? If we do all 6 of them at the same time, I think there's some folks who might be like, well, I kind of wanted to go to multiple sessions. But all right, does that sound pretty good?
Yeah.
Okay. How many of you raise your hand if you heard a session that sounded like something you would want to go to? Raise your hand. Okay. Now, I see like about a third of you didn't raise your hand. So is there something we're missing, or are you kind of like, look, I had my beer, I had my wine, I had my food, I'm ready to go? All right, that's cool. That's okay. We can do that too. I just want to make sure everybody has a chance to attend something that looks interesting to them. If not, come see me, and I'll try to figure out how to get your questions answered. So with that, we're going to take just a couple minutes here.